My friend, Assemblyman Paul Kanitra, who's a former mayor of Point Beach, he spends his time serving his constituents here in New Jersey and earning a living for his family. He was away in D.C. Earlier this week when his wife and mother-in-law were at home in Hazlet. As he explained, he and his wife were staying with their mother-in-law, his mother-in-law, in Hazlet while their Point Beach home is being renovated. And he shared a video on social media, which is really unsettling. Masked men breaking into his home in the early morning hours on Wednesday while the family slept, with home security video showing these two figures dressed in dark clothes, masked, running out down the stairs and stealing his car. Now, the good news is his wife and mother-in-law, although shaken, concerned, fearful, they were thankfully unharmed. This situation, and we've been talking about this for a number of years now, where the percentage of home invasions that accompany car thefts has grown exponentially. Guys, we live in a dangerous state. You and I have had this conversation about how dangerous it's become with the woke policies of Murphy and this attorney general, from bail reform to not enforcing federal detainer orders. You got 900,000 illegals in our communities right now, just in New Jersey. And of course, we have a government that blames the cops first. I'm going to let Assemblyman Kanitra tell you the story firsthand. Paul, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, Bill. How's it going?
Good. I'm first of all, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I cannot imagine what you emotionally went through hearing about this first as you came back from D.C. and then watching the footage of your own home security camera. When did you first hear what happened?
My wife had been trying to contact me since around 6 a.m., and I turned my ringer off. I didn't notice it until I woke up a little bit before 8 a.m., and I saw 20-some missed calls. And, all your listeners know when you see something like that, you think somebody died, you think something horrific happened, and unfortunately something horrific did happen. And to everybody who's listening out there, sometimes I think you think it couldn't happen to you. We knew that this could happen to us. We knew crime was rising in New Jersey. I had seen it firsthand. Being mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, it was one of the reasons I ran for state assemblyman. And my wife called in tears and told me that it had happened to us, and it was horrific. And no man wants to be in that position.
What did she tell you happened? Now, you had said that, and I think you were smart in the way you presented this. God forbid, have they gotten up and confronted these scumbags? Who knows? This could have been a very, very different story. When did she saw the car was gone, the thieves woke her up. I know the dog was barking. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, my wife was awoken. We're staying above the garage right now, and my wife heard them peel out with the car, and that was what woke her up. So my wife ran down the stairs. I leave her a taser. She didn't even grab the taser. She just ran down the stairs to try and see what was going on. She sees the front door wide open. She sees the windows broken. She immediately thinks something happened to her mother.
Yeah.
So she's hysterical. And she checked on her mom, saw it was okay, tried to get in her car and go look at what happened. Couldn't find anything, came back, called 911. And, that's in the heat of the moment. But, as you start to unpack things and she starts to realize, oh, my God, they were in the home. And then they check the Nest footage, and then they see them coming in, and they realize how close they were to everybody. And then they realize the dog barking was because the people were in the home. And it just gets scarier and scarier and scarier. And I'll tell you what else is scary, and this is maybe for a whole other segment. As a man, you sit here and you go, well, obviously, if I was home, I'm grabbing my gun and I'm going down there. But if you put two in their chest in New Jersey, it's like one of only one or two states in the country where you yourself could wind up in a court of law because we don't have a stand your ground law. I mean, it's all insane. Everything that this administration is doing, everything that the state legislature is doing is prioritizing criminals over citizens, is hamstringing the police officers. And I can tell you firsthand, I know it because not only am I and my family now a victim, I'm in the heat of it in the legislature.
Well, I want to say this. You are a fantastic addition to the legislature. You've got the guts to talk about it. I'm glad you said it the way you said it. I agree with you. I think that for all the men out there in particular, there's something, it's kind of in your bones, and your job and your duty to protect and serve your family. And you feel like, wow, I live in a state where the laws work against your basic instincts to protect your own. And, we had this conversation the other day. A guy had to pull his firearm out because he had two guys with a crowbar trying to break into his front door. And he started yelling at them saying, "Hey, I've got a gun. I'm going to shoot you." And thankfully they ran off. But he said, I was really concerned. He's like, I'm going through it in my head, and I'm thinking I could be in trouble if I shoot through the door. And, and I'm like, where are we? How did this happen? I mean, you've mentioned it, right? Bail reform and all of the other things with the AG's office allowing these guys to spin out. Let me ask you this. First of all, they got your assembly plates. They took your car, but the state police found your car. Is that right?
They did. And look, our law enforcement is absolutely incredible, right? I mean, I called up the state police. The Hazlet police did an excellent job. My understanding is, and we're going to get the car back today, but that they bring it to a place in Newark where they rip out the GPS, and then it's a race to try and get it to a middleman in the Bronx, who then tries to get it on a shipping container and usually send it to Africa or the Middle East as quickly as possible. And New Jersey police collaborated with New York police. They narrowed down the radius using some tools at their disposal, which I don't want to get into, and they located the vehicle. And, the fact that they can do all this with the restraints put on them, I could only imagine how great they could be if we allowed them to do their jobs. Because going back to what you just said, Bill, almost all the problems we have like this with crime and prioritizing criminals, we've created them. We've created them because of the laws that we pass and because of pandering. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. And let's take this instance, and what we really need to drill into is juveniles in this process, okay? Governor Murphy texted me last night, and I didn't text him back because of how pissed off I am. And he's telling me that, I'm signing a bill in a couple weeks just to target this kind of heinous crime, okay? And he's going to tell us, everybody, that he's out there and that they're focusing on breaking and enterings and snatch and grabs to get the keys and to steal cars that way and everything along those lines. And everything the state legislature does is playing with between a third degree and a second degree crime and everything like that. But nothing addresses the juveniles.
Right.
The gangs are recruiting young kids to do these crimes because they know that they'll be back out on the streets. And I know I'm going, but I want to keep going here because it's more than just that kids are emboldened to do these crimes. When you think of a crime movie or a crime TV series, it's you catch the little fish and then you go upstream to catch the big bosses. We can't do that in New Jersey because these kids know they're going to be out on the street in a couple hours, so they never give anybody up. You have to have something you're bargaining with, and that's the only way that we stop this. We have to have accountability for the kids.
No, Paul, thank you. You're right. The governor has been down on the job. It's embarrassing. He won't say anything about bail reform. He'll say nothing about the sanctuary state. He'll say nothing of I think it's somewhere between 100 and 150 judicial vacancies, the delay on prosecution taking years. They don't talk about any of that, and you're spot on with these kids. They're being recruited 16, 17. I had a conversation with the governor in Louisiana. What they started doing in Baton Rouge is charging 14-year-olds and up as adults. Guess what? Baton Rouge crime year over year dropped 40%. We got to get tough. We're with you 100%, Paul. Please give our best to your wife and your mother-in-law. Thank God they're safe. We're praying for every family out there. But keep the faith, keep the fight. You're doing an outstanding job. Sorry you had to go through it. And I know you're going to take this energy, this passion into the legislature and keep fighting like hell. We're going to turn this state around. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for putting a spotlight on this as always and having a backbone.
You got it. Thank you. Take care. That's Paul Kanitra, Assemblyman and former mayor of Point Beach, victim of a home invasion. I mean, guys, we better start getting tough.